And I was in that industry for about 5 years. I met my husband in that industry. And then I got engaged and I was basically fired.
Oh, okay.
And it was my husband who then was my fiance, saw it in me. And he said, "You've never had that title, but you've always done it." I worked for 6 months in that job I had, planned my wedding, got married, went on my vacation, on my honeymoon. And a week later, I gave my 2 weeks notice and I started Divided Social April 30th, 2015, a month after I got married. It's okay to not be able to choose and not be able to take that path, especially immediately. I think eventually it's the right thing. I had to do it more immediately because in a few days span, I had to hold loss and life in the same space.
Yeah, we haven't even touched on that.
Yes, I was pregnant when my husband passed away.
Yeah.
I was 38 weeks pregnant. My husband died October 25th of 2021, and my C-section was planned for November 1st of 2021. So I had 7 days. For me, it just felt like a lot of people are like, oh, God does things in mysterious ways and God does things for a purpose. And there's always this and that. And I was like, how can I believe in a God and pray to a God that chooses to kill my husband?
Right.
How do I pray to a God that kills little kids with cancer?
100%.
How I can't.
Right.
That's like a toxic relationship of a husband and wife that he beats the shit out of you and then says, I love you, and so you stay.
Right. Today's story on the FoundHers Circle podcast is a powerful one. There's no other way to say it. We welcome Grace Soto Longo Alvarez as she shares such a moving story about resilience, about the power of community, about the power of finding joy in our everyday lives. I know that you will take something valuable from this podcast episode. I would love it if you share in the comments what you found to be the most inspiring part of her story. Grace, thank you so much for joining me. I'm so happy that our viewers get to enjoy this conversation because I know that you have so much value to share. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me and thank you for inviting me. My name is Grace Soto Longo Alvarez, hyphenated. I am a mom. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a grieving wife. And I'm a daughter. I'm a proud Cuban American, born and raised in Westchester. And that's in a nutshell who I am. In Spanish, people say I'm a música, poeta y loca.
Oh, I haven't heard that one.
Yes, I do a little bit of everything, and I'm very passionate and purposeful in what I do.
So I guess let's start with young Grace. Have you always been entrepreneurial?
I think I've always have been entrepreneurial in one way or another. I mean, I grew up in a family where nobody spoke English. Mm-hmm. So my dad had a business, and 9, 10 years old, I was talking to his clients.
Right.
And translating for him and, putting together invoices and proposals for him on, my big computer.
I think that's such a, unique in our community, the Cuban American exile community. Mm-hmm. You kind of have to, especially if you're the only one that speaks English, right? Because that's...
I mean, my brother and my sister eventually spoke English and stuff like that, but they are 15 and 21 years older than me. So
there's a huge gap.
They were out of the house, married, and living with their own lives. And so the one that was there was me.
Right.
So I had to translate. So I think that's where also my entrepreneurial spirit developed. I was great in school, super smart. I had straight A's. I graduated a year early from high school. Mm-hmm. I went to college and then stopped.
You stopped in the middle of college?
In the middle. I did not graduate.
Okay. Why?
I think that, one, I had a lot of pressure from my family to be the first one to graduate. Mm-hmm. And
because your siblings hadn't?
No. Okay. My siblings they went from Cuba to Venezuela, and Venezuela, they came here. My brother was already graduated from high school, and my sister was starting high school. And they're actually in middle school, and my brother went straight to the workforce, and my sister also went straight to the workforce. And I did start college, but I didn't feel, I had this mounting pressure of you need to do it. And my parents wanted me to be an attorney. And I grew up my entire life saying I'm going to be an attorney and I'm going to be a politician and I'm going to be the first woman president of the United States. Mm-hmm. And when I showed up to college, I didn't feel prepared. And I didn't feel like I had a purpose. I didn't feel like I had and I had worked with Congresswoman Ross Layton since I was a teenager as an intern. So I had experienced that life, and I just didn't feel like it was my path. And I didn't feel how I could redirect while going to school. And then I found the cigar industry.
That's a unique turn there.
Música poeta y loca.
Yeah, got it.
I found the cigar industry. I fell in love with it. I got a great position there, and I was 21, making more money than I should be. And I was like, I found my path,
Yeah.
and this is where I'm going to build my life and my career.
So then take me from that moment of working in that industry to what you do today, which is you run a very successful events business. And so from cigar to divinely social, how did you get there?
So without it being my title, while I was in the cigar industry, I did events. I planned events. I brought people together, whether it was for a cigar tasting, whether it was the anniversary party of my employers at the time. I was always networking and bringing people together and creating events. I was also always doing social media, and trying to create little trends and things that would make people talk, because that's also another component of my business now. And so it's something that just always came natural for me. I just didn't have the title.
Right.
I was an executive assistant, and then I also did sales. I was great doing sales. I was traveling with the company, and everywhere I went, I was doing stuff. And I was also working with different charity events and helping put together 5Ks. I helped put together the first Gables Hispanic Cultural Festival, where they closed Biltmore Way. I don't even know if it still exists, but I was a part of putting that together. So it was always part of me. And I was in that industry for about 5 years. I met my husband in that industry. I met a lot of great people. And I think I developed a lot of the skills that I have now because of that industry. And then I got engaged, and I was basically fired.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I went to work in another industry that I had a guaranteed salary for about 6 months. I was planning my wedding, and I was not happy. I was deeply depressed because I had a future planned.
Right.
That's it. Like, I didn't go to school, which was the other future I had planned always. I was now in my mid-20s. Not that I was old, because now I look back and I'm
Right,
like,
you're super young.
but I was like, how do I go back? What do I do? Now I was getting married. You know, we had the intentions of buying a house. I'm starting a family. I was like, how do I go back to school? Like, what do I do? And it was my husband, who then was my fiance, saw it in me. And he said, you've never had that title, but you've always done it. And we have planned to stay in your parents' house, to save money, to buy a home. So either now or never.
Right.
I believe in you. I think you can do it, and just start your business. And that's how I worked for 6 months in that job I had, planned my wedding, got married, went on my vacation, on my honeymoon. And a week later, I gave my 2 weeks notice, and I started Divinely Social April 30th, like 2015, a month after I got married.
It's crazy that like you remember the date too.
But that was the date.
Yeah.
That was the day I opened my Facebook account. It was the day, I have it all there. Like, that was the day.
That's funny. Yeah, I don't think I can pinpoint when I opened my firm or like I don't remember the date. And maybe I should have written that down. And so I guess your husband pushed you. You recognize that you have been doing this job, but did you give any thought to like the structure of your business? Did you how did it kind of all come together?
No.
Right. I think
It was kind of just winging it, because I had no idea. Like, we were very intentional with, like, we didn't want to be a party rental.
Right.
You know, we did want to do decor. My husband was a DJ in Power 96 at one point in his life. Yes.
Yeah.
And he worked with.
So he understood that industry too.
He understood the industry. He stopped DJing when he married my stepdaughter's mom, because he wanted to be a family man. And he still DJ'd here and there for people, but he didn't want to do it like more full time and be out nights. So he loved events. He was with me probably 80% of my events. And sometimes he'd go decorate events on his own.
Yeah.
And I'd be at another
Yeah,
party.
you were a team.
Yeah. So
That's wild because you go from having a team member to experiencing a significant loss in your personal life. Obviously, it had an impact on your business life too. And you feel it now, in your everyday life. Talk about from that point, losing your husband, and you kept going because you didn't have a choice, right?
I didn't have a choice.
So, what was that like?
Well, first of all, my husband was the one who kind of ran the structure, quote unquote, like the behind the scenes stuff. He knew the legalities of things, the taxes, the how to file corporation, all those things. I had no idea how to do any of those things. And
Yeah, you were the creative genius.
the creative, the find the client, bring the client in, put it all together, but he knew the office stuff. So I never had to worry about those things. When he passed away, I was like, how do I keep running my business? I know how to bring the client in eventually, but I don't know how to do this. So that was the first part of it. But I think that, I didn't have a choice. But when I look back in my life, like, I think everything that I have done has grown from rebuilding. Like, there's been a lesson in my life, and I went through that lesson multiple times in my life, but I wasn't ready to fully receive it and learn it until my husband passed away.
That's crazy.
But it's the same lesson throughout.
Yeah.
I
Because
just,
life will give you the same.
when I lost my career in the cigar industry, that lesson was there, but I was too young to understand it. We went through COVID and my business went down the tank. I mean, we had to restructure, we had to pivot. We started doing drive-through parties, all these things, and we were rebuilding again. And the lesson was there. But it wasn't until my husband passed away that I fully absorbed everything. And I was like, you just got to learn to rebuild, restructure, pivot, and keep going. And, be resilient. And resilient doesn't mean having control, and resilient doesn't mean being strong. Resilience means showing up when you have no choice. I chose to show up for my family. I chose to show up for my friends. I chose to show up for my clients and keep going, because life doesn't give you a choice. What was I supposed to do? My kids needed the best version of me, and I needed to continue to provide for my children, because now I lost an income, because he wasn't full-time with me.
Right. He was providing in that way.
He was he was always the safety net. If there was, summers were slow, it didn't matter, because he was still the safety net.
Right.
And that's what I had to do.
I mean, speak to the fact that I don't want to say it's easy, because it's obviously not easy, but you're at a position now where you can speak openly about that time period of your life. But when you say, I chose, what allowed you to come to that conclusion that you were able to choose that? Because some people are so clouded by the experience in that moment that they don't feel like they have a choice, or they don't have the wherewithal to be able to surpass that. So like, what helped you in that moment to say, no, I have to fucking choose. Like, there's no other alternative.
You said fucking, because
Okay.
I get scared. I was like, can I cuss or not cuss?
Listen, that
one of my favorite F
experience,
words.
yeah, that experience like calls for that word. I'm sorry, like,
It's okay to not be able to choose and not be able to take that path, especially immediately. Like, it's not that, what I did is the right thing. I think eventually it's the right thing. I had to do it more immediately, because in a few days span, I had to hold loss and life in the same space.
yeah, we haven't even touched on that.
Yes, I was pregnant when my husband passed away.
Yeah.
I was 38 weeks pregnant. My husband died October 25th of 2021, and my C-section was planned for November 1st of 2021. So I had 7 days. And in 7 days, I had to do a will, because I was like, if I die in the middle of my surgery, what's going to happen to my daughter? And what happens to my son if I die and he survives? And what if I stay in a coma? Like, I had to make all these decisions that I had to decide if I was going to bury my husband. We never had that conversation. I was 33. He was 43. I tell people all the time now, I'm like, have a conversation. It's uncomfortable, but sit down one day and have it, and you appreciate that, because that's
Absolutely.
exactly what you do.
Right.
But, I never even asked him, do you want to be cremated? Do you want to be buried? have no idea. And in that moment, I had to choose. I had to choose if I was going to be buried with him in the future or not.
Right. And you're so young too, like to make such a commitment in that way.
I mean, I chose to because I'm going to bother him until the end of time.
Right.
If I get to hold down the fort now by myself, I get to bother you until eternity.
Until eternity.
Yes.
Yeah, but still at 33.
And I can laugh now about that. I couldn't knew that.
Right. So like at 33, you're just starting to live.
I had just turned. He died 5 days after my birthday.
Hang on.
So I had just turned 33.
Yeah.
And it was funny because I used to joke with him. I was like, I am turning the age of Christ. So it's going to be the best year of my life. And it was the worst. But it was also the best because my son was born.
Right.
And so I had to make all these decisions that I was not prepared to make, that I don't think that I was ready to even think about, especially on my own, because he was my rock. And, you know, I don't know about you, but, you know, I mean, I can think that you guys have the same relationship. But for me, my husband became my world. My kids became my world. My life became my home. Everything, you know, that was my thing. We had a business. We did it all together. We lived it all together. And when he died, I felt so alone because I was like, that was my person.
Right.
It's my best friend.
Yeah.
My business partner, my life partner, the father of my children.
Yeah.
You know, and still to this day, I cannot imagine doing any of those things with anybody else because that's the person he's the person for me. He was the person for me.
Right. No, I can't fathom because I hear your story and it is my story. You know, in the sense that it's true. Oh, Sean and I have been together for 19 years. So like I was a baby, you know, and whatever we've built together. And when you say like, oh, he saw something in me, he pushed me, that's our story too. Like there are moments where I didn't necessarily, I don't want to say believe in myself, but you know, you go through it as somebody that's starting your own business and you're, you know, very ambitious, but you also have fears, you know, and they push you. They see the best in you. And so like the idea, and we'll talk about it sometimes. And he's like, I don't want to talk about it. I'm like, but we run a business together. Like, you know, we have to think about these things. He's like, no, I'm going to die before you. I'm like, nothing is ever certain in life. And we spend so much time thinking about shit really that doesn't necessarily have long-term implications. And the things that do have long-term implications, we either push it aside and we don't talk about it, or we don't give it as much.
And that's your career.
Right.
Imagine that for us, it wasn't at all.
Right.
You know, Gabriel was 10 years older than me. He came with, you know, a different experience than I. We didn't get 19 years, but we came together in a moment where we were both growing, evolving, but we had a lot of things that we were set on, and we both learned to compromise on things. Like we just came together very, not flawlessly, but flawlessly, if that makes sense.
No, I get it.
You know, it meshed.
Yeah.
Even though it didn't have to. And we were both very similar in character, and we loved the party. We both knew what we wanted, and we probably argued almost every day. You're right. But then, you know, we went to bed and I was like, ¿Qué clase de comemiles somos?
And now I imagine you think back and you probably still feel that.
Oh, I still look at his picture sometimes and I'm like, dude.
Right. Like, why did we fight in those like moments? But I mean, it's hard when you're bringing together so many interests, right? Your family, your business, your kids. It's inevitable.
You know, there was a child.
Right. Which is even more of another, you know, aspect of your relationship that was, I don't want to say complicated. That's not the correct word, but you had to figure that out too. Because I'm sure coming into starting a relationship with someone that has kids is completely different if you don't.
I was very blessed because Gianna was very easy. She made herself beloved. You had to love her.
Yeah.
I mean, you had to. And my family immediately absorbed her. And I mean, she's on a family tree, you know, so somewhere in my parents.
Yeah.
Well, storage right now because we're building, but
yeah.
But yeah, she was easy to love. So I was very blessed in that sense. And I always purposefully thought, you know, if one day I do meet someone with a child, I would never exclude them in anything. They would be a full presence in our family, in our home. And for me, I'm not their parent, but I will always be their parent.
Right. Like a bonus mom.
I'm a bonus mom, whatever name they want to give me.
Right.
But I will always treat them like my child. And I will never say, you know, my stepkid or I will always hear me, oh, my daughters and my son or my 3 kids, because I never wanted for her to feel like she wasn't fully a part of our family, because she was, and she still is.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Even to this day, right? Gabriel's not here.
I mean, life changes,
Right.
you know. Obviously, there isn't a schedule like before where she had to come certain, you know, and she has her mom. She lives with her mom. So life does change and it adapts, and we don't see her as much as before. But what we do, we make it count, and, you know, she's fully present. She has a bedroom in my house. So,
Yeah.
and she always will. So it's different, but it remains the same when we're together.
That's awesome. Yeah, because it's important for your other kids to experience time with her.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
My daughter,
real-
everything my daughter wants to be is her big sister.
That's so cute.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So take me from that, like where you're at that moment. How do you continue to run your company?
Well, first of all, I had very good friends in the industry, specifically at more than anyone. Ali from Cabell Events is my sister from another mister. And when my husband died, she picked up everything and said, don't worry, I will do them for you. I'll figure it out and you don't have to pay me a penny. Like, I'll take it on. And for about 3 months, and even after that, she still helped me a lot. But for the first 3 months, because I had planned certain things that I was like, oh, okay, well, Gabriel, you can go set these things up and I'm home with the baby, because he loved doing those things.
Right.
And I didn't have like my first fully present event until like 6 weeks after having my son. But now he was not there anymore. Like when I was going to go back, I was like, okay, Gabriel's going to be there with me. So even if I'm a little bit, you know, short, you know, or like, you know, out of breath or whatever, I can sit there and he'll take over, plus my assistant, you know, all these things. And all of a sudden I was by myself. But I had and all my clients understood. Like a lot of them called me and they were like, don't worry, we'll figure it out. I was like, no, like,
Right.
Martha, my photographer, goes, we spoke that day and you didn't talk to me about Gabriel. And I was like, because I had to figure out all these events. Like, well, I couldn't stop to cry.
Right.
I had to
compartmentalize that aspect of your life. Yeah.
I did. And I was pregnant. So I was in the last week. I was like, I can't have my emotions affect my son. Not that I wanted to suppress my feelings, and I would cry, but I had to keep myself together for him.
Right.
Because I didn't want him to, you know, possibly endanger his health with my emotions.
Right.
So I kind of my profession is all about creating certainty. And I was living a moment in my life that proved that certainty does not exist.
No. Not to mention the industry that you're in, you're constantly around people. And I don't know about you, but like at that moment, I don't know if I would want to be around people. How do you overcome that and maybe I'm projecting my own.
No, you never know until you're in that moment how you're going to feel.
Right.
I'm very much a people person. I've always been a people's person. I always love to be surrounded by especially people that I love, but I love parties. I love crowds. Like that's my thing. Like literally
You have to.
if I have to, yes. And so obviously in the beginning it gave me anxiety because everybody knew.
Right.
And then sometimes it was the question of, oh, and how are your kids and your husband? Because they didn't know. And it was like, how do I answer this without in the middle of a party making people cry?
Like, yeah, I know. Right. Well, that's so thoughtful of you to think about somebody else's experience when you're like also having to.
Well, because you don't want to ruin a person's experience that like where they're at, you know, and they're not asking me to be a jerk. They're asking me because they legitimately want to know how my family's doing, but they don't know what happened. I mean, even though we were all over the news and everything in that moment, but I had to get through it. And the first event that I had was a quince, and the one after that was a wedding. So I sat there at these events. The first year, I probably walked away during these moments because I had to see dances of daughters and fathers that my girls never have. I had to watch first dances that would make me relive mine. And, you know, it was living these moments through my clients that I knew my kids were never going to have. Or remembering mine, and it was very raw, but I'm the kind of person you take the Band-Aid and you go through. You can't get over things, you can't ignore things, you have to go through it. Eventually, if you're gonna go through it in the moment, you're gonna go through it 10 years down the line.
Right.
And so, like I said, I work in an industry where I'm supposed to make perfect plans and have timelines and backup for the backup and all these things. And life humbled me and taught me that all of that is bullshit. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
life doesn't have a timeline. It doesn't have a run of show. It doesn't have seamless transitions. You just have to show up and do it. And that's how I have always lived my life. I didn't realize I always lived my life that way. I just had to do it much quicker now. I had purpose outside of my body to have to do it faster, which are my kids, my home. I was responsible for all these things. Could I have? I had every right to stay in bed for a year and not get up and cry my life away.
Right.
I could have sold everything and moved in with my parents and continued laying in a bed. But what example would I be showing my children? My daughter's world flipped completely. Her dad, she had just started pre-K. Her dad dies. Her sister no longer comes like she used to. A baby is born.
Right.
And she loses the mom she knew. Because I'm not the same person that I was before, as much as I try to be.
Right.
My patience is not the same. My thought process is not the same. My responsibilities are 10 times what they were. So I had to be present for her and show her how to continue life. And my son was just coming into this world. He forced us to be happy. So even though I wish I could have a picture of the two of them together, I'm also happy that it happened the way it happened because he forced us to be happy.
Yeah.
He forced us
to
to
be the
smile.
joy and
Yes, he forced us to enjoy the moment, and he brought a smile back into my daughter's life and face, you know, that, like, I can't even explain. So he deserved to have happy moments and have smiles in his baby pictures and have, so I just, you know, and I talk about Gabriel Nora, my son loves his father,
yeah.
you know,
Because you keep the memory of him.
and not in a way where, because sometimes people are like, oh, is it too much? I'm like, no, I don't talk about Gabriel all the time. His picture's there. There's one picture in our living room. It's not a shrine,
Right.
you know? But it's normal. You know, they do something and I'm like, man, that's just like your dad. Or something happens and I'm like, aguanti, you know? Like, it's normal conversation.
Right.
Sometimes we cry, sometimes we laugh. And it is what it is. I had to do it.
I mean, sitting across from you, like you seem, and I hope this comes out the right way, it's very well adjusted in that you have so much wisdom that you're sharing. Like I'm sure that what has led you to become the person that you are today wasn't easy. What tools do you think benefited you in those moments that you would share with someone in your position?
Well, definitely, I would say therapy. I am very big on therapy. I don't think that, you know, I started writing my blog out of not knowing who to talk to or where to turn to, because I don't know about you, but my Cuban family is like, we grieve and then we put it under the rug
Yeah.
and move on.
Yeah.
And if you talk about it, you're stuck. And I disagree. I don't think if you talk about grief and if you talk about grief is proof that love existed.
It's true.
You know, grief is love. Because if I didn't have the love to give, then I have to grieve the fact that I can't give that love. But it's not necessarily a sad thing. It's just I'm continuing to give him love in a different way. And it's my job to show my children that. So for me, therapy is very important. I write on my blog and I talk to a lot of people and I always tell them I'm not a therapist. I'm just a human person living a human experience, sharing what she knows, but go to therapy. I recently had someone write to me like, did you move out of your house because Gabriel died and this and that? I was like, she goes, my son-in-law was very stuck in his grief. Like he can't move on because he's still in the same house. And I was like, because he needs therapy. And they're a very faith-based family, so it's not faith.
Right,
Because
right.
faith is also something else I leaned on. But I told her he needs therapy because you don't move on from it. I was happy in my house. I didn't move because Gabriel died. I moved to be closer to family, to be closer to Gracie's school. But not because Gabriel died. He didn't die in the house or anything of the sort.
Right.
He just lived there. But And he makes his presence known in the new house. So it's not like,
Right. It's not like you needed the old house to
correct.
maintain. Right.
I just feel like I went to therapy for almost 3 years weekly. My daughter did therapy for 3 years weekly. Then we moved on to every other week. And then, once a month, sometimes we do more frequent than not. But for me, having the right therapist to sit there and listen to you and tell you from the perspective of somebody who studied that and tell you how to help you and reflect, not faith-based, not family, not a friend, just somebody, for me, that is very important, both for adults and children. No matter who you lost, even if it's your job, like, go to therapy. And then the other component for me is definitely my faith. Because I don't blame God for what happened in any way, shape, or form. I don't think God handpicks loss and pain and suffering and illness. I think when all those things happen, God meets you where you're at to help you get through it. And that's just my belief. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm not the most religious person or anybody who studied the Bible or anything of the sort, but that's how I feel.
Yeah.
And it's worked for me so far, and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, who's anybody to tell you, right? Nobody's in your shoes.
Well,
or not.
For me, it just felt like a lot of people are like, oh, God does things in mysterious ways, and God does things for a purpose, and there's always this and that. And I was like, how can I believe in a God and pray to a God that chooses to kill my husband?
Right.
How do I pray to a God that kills little kids with cancer?
100%.
I can't.
Right.
That's like a toxic relationship of a husband and wife that he beats the shit out of you and then says, I love you, and so you stay.
Right. So I've never thought about it like that, but now that you say it, it does make sense. I agree. It's like those two ideas do not, like, I cannot.
To me, they don't.
Right.
Obviously, I understood lesson. It always happens, but when it was really something big in my life and when I was mature enough to reflect on it, I understood it. God shows up where you're at to help you get through those things. And I think that I believe that there's a devil. That's why there's bad things in the world. Mm-hmm. But I think in between the devil and God, there's life happenings. Things need their control, but they can't control what way do you go. Right. Do you go down this negative path, or do you go down this faith-based path? And that's what I chose. I believe in God, and my God and my belief and my faith have gotten me through this and therapy.
Yeah.
And my children. I mean, my children have saved my life, because I think without my children, neither one of those things would have mattered. And I've said that quite frankly. I don't think that I would still be standing or even be alive if I didn't have my children. They gave me the fuel to seek therapy and God.
It's such a powerful testimony, story. And it just you embody, when I think about the word resilience, you embody that. I mean, you've had such a significant loss, and yet instead of, dwelling necessarily on the negative, you've propelled yourself forward, whether it be for your children, whatever the fire that you've used to propel yourself forward, you've propelled yourself. So let's talk a little bit about your business. I openly shared that party planning gives me anxiety. And every single friend of mine and my mom, everyone would attest to that. What is your favorite part of planning events?
I was recently asked that, and with all honesty, my favorite part of planning events is my clients' joy. That's it. Doesn't matter what we do in between. It could be the biggest event where people spend hundreds of thousands of dollars and I have an artist, or it could be the smallest event where they're like, I just, I need a backdrop and a cake for my kid. The end result is what makes me the happiest, is their joy.
How do you explain how you make your clients' lives easier? Like me, the person that is just, I cannot do it. What do you do? What?
And I'm going to go back a little bit to my story. I love events. And I told you I've been planning events without intentionally planning events for a very long time, long before I started my company. And when I started my company, I loved what I was doing. And I would ask the client, what do you want to do? And how do you want to do it? And this and that. After I lost my husband, that transitioned for me, because it wasn't just let's plan a party. It's we're creating memories. We're creating evidence that life and love exist. And these are things that you get to keep. These are the things that you get to hold on to. And maybe a client doesn't realize that because they haven't gone through what I've gone through. But I realize in the moment. And for me, that's why it takes on even a whole other life and a whole other importance, because I have to make sure that these things happen for them and that they have these memories, because that's what you hold on to. That's what you take, this evidence. You're creating evidence for them to have for their future. So for my clients, I always sit down with them and I tell them, make me a list of the 10 things that are most important to you, from 1 being the most and 10 being the least. And from there, tell me what your budget is. And now we're going to start applying your budget to the top, and we trickle down the bottom. And if we get to the 10 things, great. And if we don't, we try to get through the list so that they can have the most joy from what's important to them. I have clients that have told me, you know, I had one wedding and they were like, I want to bring Mickey and Minnie for my hora loca. They were like, but people are going to think I'm crazy. And I go, but it's your wedding.
Right.
Who cares?
Yeah.
Like, you're paying for it. People are going to criticize you regardless of what you do or don't do.
Absolutely.
So if it's unorthodox, but it's what you want, it's going to make you happy, then let's do it. And we did. And it was one of the best hora locas I've ever had in a wedding, you know, because everybody, it was unexpected.
Right.
So
takes you back to your childhood.
So those are the things that when I have a client that's full planning, I'm like, let's do this. And then I tell them, you know, whatever ideas you have, you send to me and I will put it all together. I'll make sure to call different vendors. I have a great core group of vendors. And I always tell them, this is who I recommend first. But everybody has a different budget. Not everybody can afford a certain. So when they tell me, you know, that's too much or whatever, or I'm great, fine. But then I take stress out of their plate, because they don't have to call around 50 people. They don't have to, you know, start Googling, oh, who has great reviews or who has. I have, and I'm going to age myself, a Rolodex. I have a Rolodex. I said tape the other day, and I said, oh, I had caught that on tape.
Oh my gosh.
And when I said it, I was like,
Were your kids like, what?
No, I said it to students at FIU.
Oh my gosh.
And when I said it, I was like, oh man, I just aged myself.
It's crazy that we're thinking that we're not even that old.
No, I'm 37. Yeah. But when I said I got it on tape, I was like, oh man, I can't believe I said that to a bunch of students. I am so uncool right now.
So a couple of coins were deducted for people
after I told them something great that their professor said, you guys are so fantastic, and I said, I got that on tape. Man, from being super cool, I just went down. Anyway, so I have a Rolodex of a long list of vendors that I have worked with at one point or another at different brackets of pricing. So I get to bring that to them and say, I've done the work for you. I've worked with these people. I can vouch for these people. And I have clients that can also vouch, because, I mean, if you've hired me, I figure you trust me. But if you need more evidence of their work, here it is. Here's people.
You vet people.
Correct. And a lot of people I've met along the way, because a client hired them from outside of my group of people, and now they became my people too, you know? So that's where I take stress away. I think of the things that they don't think of, you know? For example, free advice. Well, you book your photographer, your videographer, and you're like, oh, I'm doing an 8-hour package. But are you moving from location to location?
Right.
Does that 8-hour package include the travel or not? So
I would have never thought that.
So if you did your hair and makeup at, you know, you're done and they're there at 2:00 and they're leaving at 10, but your wedding ends at midnight because there's traveling to a church, from a hotel to a church and a church to a venue. Now you lost all this time in between.
Right. That's kind
of. Did you think of it?
Right.
You know? Do you have to add more time? Because maybe you're like, oh, I have an 8-hour package. You know, yeah, from, you know, but you think, oh, we're going to be an hour and a half in the car, so it doesn't count into my package. They're going to be until the end. Well, they're not.
Right.
Yeah. So those are little things that, you know, I'm with experience. I've been now with my company 11 years. And you learn those things. I mean, that's why you pay for it. That's why it costs what it costs to have somebody think of all these aspects for you.
Right, especially if you're not necessarily, event coordinated. Let's just go with that. I could see how it's a tremendous value for you to be able to enjoy the event and have someone think about the things that you don't necessarily think about. When you talk, it's funny because I think about, and this is something that I preach often. People are like, oh, I want to start a business. What business do I start? And I said, well, in my opinion, like if you listen to all the other business people, they're going to say, just look at numbers. But for me, if you're running a small business, the most important thing is, do you believe in that business? Because life and business will rock you. There's no way to prevent it. Like there's no, I can't sugarcoat that. There's going to be experiences that you're going to have to overcome that are going to rock you. But if you believe in your business, you love what you do, that's how you overcome
And
that.
it brings you joy.
And it brings you joy. That's how
Even in the hard days.
Correct. And so when you talk, that's what I think about. Like you exemplify that, not in just in your personal life, but also in your business. Because I could hear how much you enjoy it. And you have to, because of the amount of work and hours and expertise that goes into what you do. And I just wanted to share that because I could hear it as you talk about this business. And I value that because I think it's inevitable. Like you're going to go through trials and tribulations that you have to overcome. And the people that can, it's because they have this connection to what they do. I like to end with providing our audience with some takeaway. If you can give one piece of advice to a woman out there that's thinking, I want to start a business, like, what do I do? What would that be?
Find your passion, because if you're going to dedicate long hours of your life and also away from your children, if you have kids, or you're going to postpone other plans in life because you want to start this business, make sure that it's a passion, that it brings you joy. And people might tell you passion and joy don't bring in the money, like you said. But if you believe in it enough and you listen to people who have experience too, because I didn't get here just by doing it by myself. I did also surround myself with people in the industry that I learned from and I still learn from. Because I do work with other planners and I enjoy that a lot because I see things that I sometimes don't even think of myself.
Right.
Because compared to other people, I'm still a baby in this industry.
Yeah.
So I think that you have to be humbled enough to know your limitations and where you need to grow and surround yourself by good people. And you can thrive. You don't have to do it alone. You're not less successful, because you ask for help or you ask for experience from people.
Yeah. Grace, I'm humbled by your resilience. Like, I love that you shared your story. Thank you so much for coming on. And I hope everybody will listen and take away exactly what I did, which is, resilience.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for not only letting me speak about my personal experience, but also my business, because that's my other baby.
Yeah,
it's very important to me. So thank you for having me, truly.
I want to thank Grace for sharing her powerful story with us, and I hope that you found value in this episode. If you haven't already done so, I hope you will subscribe to our channel. We plan on bringing more conversations like this because the reality is these conversations need to be had. I hope you enjoyed it, and as always, like, share, and tell us your thoughts on the episode.